Hi, this is Roxy Astor, and you're listening to Lyrical Spit. You can find me on Facebook, Roxy Astor, or Instagram, Roxy.Astor, or Twitter, Roxy Astor1. When you meet with Roxy, you better beware, because I'm really strong and debonair. This jet set girl never backs down, because all she wants is a G.L.O.W crown. And I did that for Dave Navarro.
Listen to me sing. My girls are champions in the ring. Hey. They're on the go, they never stop. That's why they're headed for the top. My good girls have the strength and speed to wipe out all of Kitty's breed. And when we're done, please don't be bitter, because all that's left is kitty litter. Yeah.
Warning, parental advisory is recommended. Oh, just listen.
This is a Say Sahara Dynamite Productions.
Huff! Huff! Huff!
Hold up.
Hotline, beautiful beings. Welcome to Lyrical Spit Vol.19, a tribute to Jackie Stallone, with a very special guest, the legendary, 85 years young, Matt Cimber. Please share, follow, rate, and subscribe on most of your major podcast platforms. I am your host of Lyrical Spit, the beast from the Middle East, the Yemeni maniac, the modern-day Sheikh, and the proud Yemeni American, Diafullah, the butcher Dobashi. I am not a sports entertainer. I am a professional wrestler who loves to entertain. I am also ordained, and I can marry you and give you all your blessing needs. Send your booking requests to dobashibookings@gmail.com, and you can send your emails for this show to lyricalspit@gmail.com. You could even leave a message on our Lyrical Spit 24-hour hotline at 360-200-8779. And you know what? You may just hear your message on the show. Please report human sex trafficking. Here's the hotline number, 1-888-373-7888. And you know what? Your call may just save a life. I made it easy for each and every one of you. You can get all of the show links at lyricalspit.com. On this show, I'm going to have some original G.L.O.W girls on here talking about the late, great Jackie Stallone. But I also have a special guest. On this show, the G.L.O.W producer, Matt Cimber. You know what? He doesn't do very many of these interviews, and I am lucky enough to have him on this show, and I am excited about it. Thank you, Sonny, for setting this up. On AEW Dynamite, La Champion, Chris Jericho, and MJF did the song and dance skit, and you can check it out on YouTube. I enjoyed it so much I decided I was going to play it here on the show. I will be right back to BS with you all right after I do a music double play. The first song will be La Champion, Chris Jericho, and MJF. But first, here are some words from one of the original G.L.O.W girls, MTV.
Hi, this is Eileen MTV O'Hara, an original G.L.O.W girl from the Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling. I played Melody Trouble Vixen, and I will never forget the first time I met Jackie Stallone. We were taping season 3 matches. We had just started taping, and of course Aunt Kitty and Jackie were part of the taping. And Jackie was the good girls manager, Aunt Kitty was the bad girls manager. And we had met Aunt Kitty, but in walks Jackie Stallone, and here she is with this beautiful silk jogging suit that was so popular during the 80s, and she had on that sparkling headband, puffy headband that she always wore, and she was just magnificent. She was larger than life, and she had this bold style, that was just all her own. And she stood out in this sea of characters that we were all characters, all this color and vivaciousness from all these women. And she stood out. She had just a command of presence about her. She was very kind, and she was so poised and stood tall with this strength of character. And I was really impressed by her kindness when she met us all, because she said, she introduced herself and said, I want to get to know all of you. And she met each one of us individually and talked with us individually. And she took the time. She spoke your name, and she took the time, and you felt like when you were in her presence and she was talking with you that you were the only person in the room. And, that's a real command of presence. And so she said she had a gift for all of us. And when she met us individually, she handed us this beautiful velvet bag, and you opened it up, and it had this lovely quartz crystal in it, a high quality one that was very clear and beautiful. And she said that she was giving it to us for good fortune and protection. And it's still part of my collection today. And I am now a Reiki practitioner, and I work with light and energy. And, perhaps she had some influence in that. I don't know. But, I've always been attracted to that. And maybe part of that was in me. But I really want to thank her for her spiritual efforts to help make this world a better place, because she was a psychic to the stars. And, maybe she was reading us a little bit each as we went up there, and she just looked deeply into your eyes and made you feel very special. And, we lost Sage, I think it was last year, Sage Stallone, her grandson, and now he's there with his grandmother. And I'm just so happy that I got to meet her and feel her presence, because she was a very beautiful woman. Thank you, Jackie.
Like the wallpaper sticks to the wall, like the seashore clings to the sea, like you'll never get rid of your shadow, Chris, you'll never get rid of me. Let all the others fight and fuss. Whatever happens, we've got us. We're closer than pages that stick in a book. We're closer than ripples that play in a brook. So wherever you'll find him, you'll find me just closer than a recliner thrown at Honey's forehead, geyser me. We're closer than snakes are, they slide through the grass. We're closer than Cody is to a jackass. Not a soul can bust this team in two. We stick together. flew.
And when it's sleeping time,
That's when we rise.
we start to swing.
Swing to the sky.
Our clocks don't chime.
What a surprise.
They ring.
A ding ding, Happy New Year. And now to repeat what I said at the start. You'll need a large crowbar to break us apart. We're alone but far from blue. Before we get finished, we'll make the town roar. We'll hit all the late spots and then a few more.
We wind up at dailies and then the fourth floor.
Life is gonna be wee-wah-wee for my shadow and me.
Say, Chris,
What is it, Maxwell?
would you do me a favor?
What do you want now?
Would you mind taking it one more time?
From the top?
No, from the ending.
Wonderful!
And while we are swinging, to mention a few, we'll drop into Chili's and Young Bucks, screw you.
We'll beat up a Moxley, whatever we do.
Life is gonna be wee-wah-wee for my shadow and me.
Night vision, laser eyes, making pieces synthesize. Afraid are you paralyzed? Yeah. Where you gonna go tonight? Reading through your deep tonight. Afraid are you paralyzed? Yeah. Looking behind you, you know I'm gonna find you. There's no way that you can get away. Hope your disguises won't get to the light of the day. But you can't hide from me. I can see it deep down on the end of the dark. You can't hide from me. I'm the being that I see you forget to rock. How every single one of your skeletons, how every secret that you've been burying, read between the lies and finding more evidence to the truth of your heart. You can't hide from me. Told me I was everything, now I'm taking everything. Wonder if you're freaking out, yeah. All your time is running out, I can feel you shaking now. Wonder if you're freaking out, yeah. Looking behind you, you know I'm gonna find you. There's no way that you can get away. Hope your disguises won't get to the light of the day. But you can't hide from me. I can see it deep down on the end of the dark. You can't hide from me. I'm the game that I see you forget to rock. How every single one of your skeletons, how every secret that you've been burying, read between the lies and finding more evidence to the truth of your heart. You can't hide from me. You can't hide from me. You can't hide from me. I didn't think that you could call me so cruel, but you can't hide from me. I know what you did, I know what you're gonna do, 'cause you can't hide from me. I can see it deep down where I'm in the dark. You can't hide from me. I'm the game that I see you forget to rock. How every single one of your skeletons, how every secret that you've been burying, read between the lies and finding more evidence to the truth of your heart. You can't hide from me. You can't hide from me. You can't hide from me.
Help keep this show free by buying some of our swag of apparel butcherspit.com. We have t-shirts, hoodies, and even baby onesies. That's butcherspit.com. That last song was Mad FVN Skeletons. These songs that I play on the show, you can find them on SoundCloud, YouTube, and on most of your major platforms. Well, I have a couple of shout-outs. This first shout-out goes out to Nick Padilla, Jody, Darla, Izzy, Brian Bellardi, and the whole crew at the Laborers Union 252. Also, a shout-out to my doctor, Paul Schmidt, and to shout out to Gary at Sid Shoe Repair that's located in Tacoma, Washington. He does wonderful work. Tell him Dobashi sent you. His number is 253-474-6588. One last shout out to the only brick and mortar professional wrestling Hall of Fame and museum in the world located in Wichita Falls, Texas. Website pwhf.org. As most of you know, we have a Lyrical Spit 24-hour hotline, and the number is 360-200-8779. Seems to me the hotline gets a lot of voicemails by mistake. Or is it on purpose? I do not know. Either way, it's just more material for the show. Well, here's the latest voice message. Check it out.
Rachel Ellen, you little darling. This is Frank, you know, your auntie's neighbor from Monticello, the Soul Lifestyle Village. I've been reading your Facebook posts and Twitter feeds. Amagoni Cabernet Franc. Really? Come on. Estate wines. Why don't you try some of that Chateau Rosé from Walmart? It's only $2.69. Or that yummy $2 chuck from TJ's. Your Auntie Alice is worried you're just too highfalutin. How you ever gonna keep a good man living like that? Come on now, sweetheart. Now, speaking to that, you better land a man soon. I know your real age, young lady. You might be fine wine right now, but you're sure as heck about to turn to vinegar. A man only has so much Social Security to live on nowadays, so pick. Do you want shoes or do you want wine? Shoes or wine?
I will be right back with Sunny, the California girl, right after Nate, Grand Rising.
Grand Rising, Grand Biscuits, Magic Wand waving Grand Wizards. If you my man, 100 grand in a grand missing. I got 99 problems, what's the damn difference? Listen, on my unborn grandkids, you know a nigga grown when a band is a bandage and the band keeps playing when you on a Titanic and your home network can't handle the bandwidth life's a damn bitch. Still love her though, raw sex pulling off the rubber slow, rubber dub, that's a dry rub on the roast. Smells like burnt toast, you know I got a serious stroke, periods broke like the levees, flow on the mic kinda heavy, got enough sauce for the spaghetti, red hot chili pepper, order water under the bridge, I forgive niggas for wanting to live, I ain't mad at ya, I ain't the mad rapper, just a mad dapper damn rather, shimmy y'all like a kappa, somebody tell Boozy that I'm batter, vanilla extract in a batter, I ain't playing patty cake, I mean how many patty pies can daddy bake, mad I gotta save a slice for Sally Mae, may the odds ever be forever in your favor, forever and a whole day later, day to day, day traders, daylight come for slave labor, Labor Day, labor pains getting paid straight up, Grand Rising, Grand Canyon, grandfather clock, grandstanding. You lucky if you got grandparents. Shit is Operation Grand Clearance. It's clandestine. Magazine, glam essence. 120 playing lessons from the ancestors. Fan blessings, hand-in-hand hand gestures. Jam sessions, children asking damn questions. Watching cartoons and wrestling. Grand Rising, Grand Central. Freemasons at the Grand Temple. All praises to the audacious, all-seeing eye, all patient. Call waiting for the hookup. Cook up salt fish, just crook it how to pour, get rewarded with more risk. Fried dumpling, daily bread, top of the morning, getting daily head. Taking diabetic daily meds, sugar-free jelly spread. Crown Jewel got a heavy head. You got a headache from the Reggie Reg. Grand Rise, 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 Grand Rise.
Finances, the other F word. Music, money, news.
Welcome to this week's FTOFW Music News. I'm Zoe Terry. A memorial to honor Van Halen guitarist Eddie Van Halen is being planned in Pasadena, the birthplace of the band almost 50 years ago. Since Eddie died on 6th of October 2020 from throat cancer, a makeshift memorial has formed on a street called Allen Avenue, where Eddie and his brother Alex scratched their band's names into the sidewalk when they were teenagers. A council meeting is taking place today to discuss possible proposals for the memorial. In other news, Taylor Swift's most recent album, Folklore, has returned to #1 in America and has become the first record in 2020 to sell more than 1 million copies. Swift's 8th album was recorded during lockdown and released as a surprise for fans in August. Her previous album, Lover, was also the only record to sell 1 million copies in the US in 2019. Finally, the parents of Ed Sheeran, John and Imogen Sheeran, are auctioning off some of his prized possessions to raise money for 2 of their favorite charities. The items up for grabs include a ticket to Ed's first gig and a signed photo of Ed with Sir Elton John at Wembley Stadium in July 2015. Other lots include a photo of 8-year-old Ed at Legoland and his handwritten lyrics for his 2017 hit Perfect. Ed Sheeran is one of today's most successful young artists. According to the Sunday Times Rich List, his fortune jumped to £200 million, which is around $260 million in 2020. There are 7 items up for auction from Ed and 200 items in total from various other artists, including Kylie Minogue, with the proceeds going to benefit G.Wiz and Zest, 2 charities in Suffolk, England, where Ed grew up. That's all for this week. Stay safe.
Until next time, follow us on social media at Finances, the other F word.
I would like to introduce back to Lyrical Spit. Every time I talk to this person, she makes my day sunny. The original G.L.O.W girl, Sunny. The California girl, Patricia Summerlin. Welcome back.
Hello. Thank you for having me back.
It's always
it just seems yesterday we did a show.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure. Like I said in the intro, every time I talk to you, make my day sunny. And I just want to thank you very much for taking your time out in your very busy schedule, especially during the election, and to take your time to talking about an original and one-of-a-kind Jackie Stallone.
Absolutely. Jackie was a sweetheart, and she represented us sweethearts. So she was our manager, the baby faces. The Hills had Aunt Kitty, who passed on as well. And also, just to give you a little feedback, Aunt Kitty is Matt's, I want to say, aunt.
Oh, yeah?
So that's just a little feedback on that end. But Jackie was, I think, the most amazing times to meet Jackie was when she brought her crystal ball and her tarot cards out, because she used to read tarot cards. She was really big into astrology. And she was like, Sonny, let me see your palm. Do you want me to read your tarot? Okay. And she would do this while we're like trying to do matches. We're getting our mindset in the ring and getting geared up. And she's like, wait, stop. Let me see your hand. Let me read. Oh, you're great. Sonny, be careful. Don't fall. Stuff like that. I'm like, what? Yeah, she's the one that actually inspired my love for astrology. was Jackie Stallone.
Oh, wow.
I loved her passion. I loved her passion for her kids. At that time, she wasn't necessarily getting along with Sylvester. She loved Frankie at that time and always, loved her kids, but she wasn't talking to Sylvester at that time. And she would bring that up. She's like, I go, how's Sly doing? Oh, we're not talking.
Oh, no.
So she was very adamant about that. But of course, later on, they became very close again. But Frankie was always there at the sidelines with Sasha or Sage. I can't remember. Sylvester's younger son that passed away as well, which was really sad. But he was there as well, watching every single G.L.O.W show. That's, pretty interesting.
Wow.
But, yeah. And Jacqueline would sit right next to him. And we're not answering that. Oh, goodness. So, yeah. And the other thing about Jackie that really stood out was she always was there on time, and she showed up with such class in her jumpsuit. And she had this huge, I had headbands. I was the only one in G.L.O.W that wore that headband. Well, Jacqueline Stallone wore a headband, but she wore hers was double, like the size of mine, or even triple. She had the hugest headband, and it was just so pretty. Like it would have rhinestones on it. She'd come in with a rhinestone jumpsuit, just so classy and elegant and up and happy. And oh my God, she was the best. And we were so happy to have her as our manager. We're like, oh yeah, we get Jackie. We get Jackie. That's what we were saying.
Now, did she have a big part like behind the scenes or anything like that? Do you know how she got into the wrestling or got involved with G.L.O.W?
She loved wrestling. She was always wanting to be involved with wrestling, just like Cyndi Lauper almost, because, Cyndi Lauper was a part of it with G.L.O.W. So Jackie always loved wrestling. I think that was because of her, her sons, obviously, in their world, because Sly was a boxer, Right. So she always wanted to get involved with the women's boxing, wrestling, if you will, and sure enough. And I think Matt will be able to tell you more how that came about, how she was there, the meeting, and how he got her in there, because they're all connected. They're all Italian, just saying.
Yeah. I love you for this, for hooking me up with the interview. Later on the show, we're going to have him on, and I am so excited. I want to say thank you. And because of you, you're making this tribute show awesome. And I'm sure Jackie's up in the sky above smiling down on us.
Oh, she is. She's reading her crystal ball. I bet you not. She's reading everybody's horoscope up there. And that was her love. That's what made her happy. And she was very good at it. It wasn't just like, oh, as a matter of fact, I think this. She was like spot on. That's what was really cool about her. And just like I said, she was very nice. And I think also my memory is when we had our picture in the Enquirer together, her and I. She was in my picture in the Enquirer. Wow. And that wasn't my best pictures, but I've had some really, one looked like I had no teeth. They took it for the Enquirer. I'm like, oh God, that looks horrible. There was like a little blackout, in my mouth, which I did actually have a tooth knocked out, I guess. It wasn't for that picture, but she always just graced G.L.O.W. She made our day really happy and always looking forward to her, to talking and learning about her world and seeing what color her nails were, because she had long nails. And I would always look at her nails, go, oh, you're wearing such a pretty color today. And she changed her color often, like she'd change it with her suit.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, but a very beautiful lady, just a sweet, pleasant, really in tune with the world and life. She lived it. And obviously she lived a beautiful long life, and she actually passed away in her sleep. I mean, that's what we all want. So let's, hope we all do. But, what a way to go. And we miss her each and every day. Absolutely. She's up there now with Aunt Kitty, and Aunt Kitty's raising hell and probably chasing her with her broom and her umbrella that she used to hit with the girls,
Hey, maybe Jackie's got a bunch of angels and Aunt Kitty got some devils, and they're going to face each other and have G.L.O.W, the second coming.
Right? Yeah. Exactly.
Hey, that's a good book. Even though we know we know they're both up there.
Yeah.
Up above.
Absolutely. Yeah, they're up there having fun. We're the ones left down here as poor souls just before the election.
Oh,
we're going crazy, aren't we?
That's right. I can't wait for it to be over. But
me too. You know, Jackie would go, "Oh, Sonny, Trump is going to win. I know it. I see it. He's telling me he's going to come out so far ahead. So let's just go with that."
Okay. Yeah, we might have a recap show after this, and we'll see if
that's right.
Jackie's right.
Absolutely.
Well,
it's been a pleasure.
Yeah,
lots of fun, Diafullah, as always.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I know you got a busy schedule. And like I said, thank you for taking some time out.
Absolutely. I'm going to send that info over.
We'll figure it out.
However, whatever's best, shoot his number and you can talk to him. And it'll be lots of fun. Yay. Yeah. You're going to love it.
All right.
And I'm so happy.
Give out all your shout outs real quick before we let you go.
Oh, yes. You can find me. Well, you can find me anywhere. Unfortunately, they're definitely finding me. And they're hating on me because I love Trump. Darn it. But just to let you know, I am a Trump supporter. So if you like Trump, you're more than welcome to stay on my page. And if you talk bad about Trump or me or anybody else that I love, you are gone. Just thought I'd add that. Because that sunny turns cloudy, and that's my cloudy side. You don't want to get on my cloudy side.
No.
You can Google me, Patricia Summerland, everywhere. I'm there. I'll talk to you. I'm really cool like that. And that's it. Hey.
Okay.
All social media platforms. You can find me. I'm actually back on Twitter, and I don't really like Twitter. But Twitter, if you just put Patricia Summerland, it should bring up Sunny Glow or Glow Sunny, actually. Glow Sunny on there. But Patricia Summerland everywhere else. Awesome. And then I do have a fan page, Sunny the California Girl. If you want to hit like that, I am not on that page that much. I tend to go on my, real name and socialize because I'm a busy bee like that.
Enjoy your rest of your evening.
Thank you. I'm going to go eat now and do another podcast.
Okay.
All right. Take care.
I will be right back with the legendary Matt Cimber right after Sahara Beck, Queen of Hearts.
If the sky can take the rain, baby, I can take the pain that comes with loving you. With loving you. Like the mountains touch the sky, you touch me and I am high from loving you. From loving you. Did you see me lose my heart? Did you see me fall apart over another one? If the sky can take the rain, baby, I can play the lonely game of loving you. Of loving you. They call me the Queen of Hearts 'cause you play me like a card when I am loving you. When I am loving you.
Finances, the other F word. Music, money, news.
I'm Mello, and here's your FTOFW Money News. Twitch, the massive game streaming platform, continues to come under fire for infringing on copyrighted songs without having the proper licenses. The newest warning shot was a letter issued informing the platform once again of the violations. This letter, however, was signed by the Recording Industry Association of America, the Recording Academy, the National Music Publishers Association, the American Association of Independent Music, and SAG. Amazon, the owner of Twitch, informed many of the players on their platform that they had violated copyright laws and were deleting their videos. However, a case seems to be being built to take the matter to court for violation of the Digital Millennial Copyright Act. In other news, Sony announced today that they have merged their two music production divisions, Extreme Music and EMI. The new CEO will be Russell Emanuel, who was co-founder of Extreme Music back in 1997. And finally, oil futures continue to slide as supplies of the commodity remain high. The rising concerns of another possible lockdown and global economic uncertainty due to COVID-19 seems to be pushing supply inventories up. I'm Elo, and that was your F2FW Money News.
Until next time, follow us on social media at Finances, the other F word.
My guest is a producer, director, and writer of film, television, and theater. He was the co-creator and director of G.L.O.W, the Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling, professional wrestling promotion and syndicated television. I am honored to introduce Matt Cimber. Welcome to Lyrical Spit.
Well, thank you. Happy to be here.
Yes. It's an honor to have you on here. But before...
That's a great entrance.
Oh, thank you. Well, before we get started, I'm gonna spin the first timer's guess random question to break the ice for your first random question. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, I'm gonna spin it just like Price is Right. Here we go.
You got it.
Okay, here's the $1 million question. What do you think is the best candy ever made and why?
Okay, I think the best candy ever made is definitely Baby Ruth.
Okay. Why is that?
Baby Ruth, and I'll tell you why. Because it has nuts in it, which are delicious. I haven't had one for a while, but I have to tell you, they always had great chocolate. And the caramel in the center really gave it a great smack, and it was the fun thing of all time. So when you went door to door at Halloween, okay, you looked for the woman who's going in the bag with her hand. You look for the one that's pulling out the little Baby Ruth.
Oh,
that come out. So you watch for that.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Nice. I haven't had a Baby Ruth in a long time, too. After the interview, I might go buy one.
It's a good one. It's really good.
Well, how are you holding up with this whole coronavirus ordeal? How do you keep from getting cabin fever?
Yeah. Well, I've had some problems, but I don't talk about them. So I'm just, I'm lucky I have my wife with me. She's home all day now. Of course, she doesn't pay any attention to me because she's a vice president of CBS, and they're working at home, all of CBS.
Oh.
And she's also Paramount. So she has the computer in front of her on her desk, and she's working her butt off. So, but it's a great thing to have her at home. And she thinks all the big companies now are going to start getting used to having people work from home. She's a senior vice president for 33 years.
Wow.
Of Paramount, CBS, all of them. And she can tell you that this is by far, not having to get in the car and drive to the office in the midst of all the crazy traffic every day.
Oh, I bet.
And home, to do your work at home, she's doing an extra. Some days it takes her an hour and a half to get to the office.
Wow.
So all that extra time is poured into her work. And she does the work, believe me. She does a lot of work. Anyway, but that's enough of that.
Wow. So where did you grow up, and how did you get the showbiz bug? What got you into the business?
Well, I grew up in New York, and I got a very early bug. My sister was an opera singer, kind of very famous, and she was, when I was a kid, she was still going for her studies. She's 7 years older than me. And one day she was taking extra voice lessons at Carnegie Hall in the studios in the back of Carnegie Hall. And my mother wouldn't let me, my mother would never let me alone. My mother had to work, my father worked. And so she took me with her to the studios. Well, I didn't want to sit inside and listen to this boring stuff they were doing. So I sat out in the hallway. And I guess I was about 11 or 12, almost 13. And I sat in the hallway, and across the hallway, it was summertime when I first started going, because there was no school, and I was sitting there, and the door opposite her door across the hall was open. And there was this elderly lady who was conducting an acting class. And her name was Vera Solovyova. She's very famous. She was very old at the time, but she had loads of energy. And I sat, on my butt against the wall watching her. And it was interesting, the first time you see how somebody works. And she noticed me because her door was open too, because in those days, Carnegie Hall had no air conditioning.
Oh, wow.
And it was hot. So the door was open, and she finally came over by the door, and she kind of signaled me if I want to come in and sit in the class. Turns out her students were almost actors, professional actors who were performing on Broadway in plays. In other words, she was taking actors to a higher level. Turns out that she was married to one of the great legends of the theater, and he would come in once in a while, to kind of help her, but she certainly didn't need any help from him. But he would come and stick his nose in, and the actors would prepare their scenes. So I went over and I sat in, and then when he came in, he was incredible. His name was Michael Chekhov.
Okay.
And he's one of the greats. He was like Stanislavski's kind of representative in America. And I would watch him, and he amazed me at how he could take a scene that I saw these actors preparing for a couple of weeks, and now he would come in and take the scene and do things with it that were incredible. So as a kid, I started getting really involved. And finally, she told me, and of course, after the class was over, I'd help put the chairs back and do whatever, clean up the place a little for her. And She never asked me for money. And finally, that's what grew into what happened. And when I finally went to, she helped me get in the actor studio, director seminar with Kazan. She was the most wonderful lady you could ever imagine, but tough as nails. You know, she had been a leading lady for Stanislavski, and she was part of the group. Maria Spenskaya and all these Russian actors who came here in the 30s to get away from what was happening in Russia, and they walked. You know, it's a great story of how they got here. But in any event, I got into it. And of course, when I went to college, I worked at it. I worked at it in her studio. And finally, I got to direct a play at Yale, a play that was like, it was kind of a comedy, but it had two famous character actresses, real Broadway actors in it. And I was sitting in the postgraduate class, and the guy read the play, and it had a lot of humor. And I was about 20 years old, and they finally said, "Oh, now who wants to direct this?" And nobody raised their hand. And because I had this background of working with actors with Solovyova, I raised my hand.
Nice.
Of course, I didn't know anything. And the two ladies came in, both who had been on Broadway for years. They came into the class and to the rehearsals, and they were telling me what they should do, you know. And it was the greatest learning experience you could imagine.
Wow.
And so I ended up doing 8 plays in New York, 4 of them very good off-Broadway, and 4 on Broadway that were revivals. Then I met my first wife, who was directing her on a short run. She came to do a bus stop on Broadway. And because I had become friends with the author of Bus Stop in the class at the Actor Studio with names escape me. I'm getting old. In any event, I got to direct the play, Bus Stop, and I got really close to Jane. She had just been divorced, and finally, when the play ran its course, she said, "I'm going back to Hollywood. Would you like to come and you could stay at my house and maybe do something in movies?" And I went, and it was maybe the greatest experience of my life, because she was very popular in the 20th century a lot. I mean, everybody knew her, and she was just very popular girl, because she never said no to anybody that wanted a special autograph or whatever. But she went to each of the departments, and she said, "I want you to use him for a week." So I went to editing, I went to directing, I went to costumes, I went to sound.
So you worked your way up.
Well, because, and here were guys, you got to remember this. This was in the 50s. Here were guys who had been through the golden era of Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
This crew, these people that worked at the studio were incredible. And they passed it on, and they were happy to do it. You know, what I learned in editing, I mean, if I went to an editing class for 2 years, I couldn't learn it. But that was part of the thing that really hit it well. And so that was it. And then, I mean, I was, forget about being hooked. I was already, whatever happened to me was, I was going to keep going. And I always had an attitude. Money was never my goal.
Uh-huh. What was your goal?
No, never. I had to really like something. Now, I worked for the studios. But, I mean, I worked for Peck and Paul. I worked for, you know, I did a lot of writing. But I always wanted to make my own movies. I wanted to express myself. And so I got this from a lot of producers who always said to me, you know, you're incredible because you're always a first-time guy.
There you go.
And so, and that really worked. And I always had that attitude that I never wanted to do what somebody else had already done. When I saw The Great Race, I don't know if you're familiar, The Great Race, Jack Lemmon, it's just a fantastic film.
Oh yes. I haven't I've seen bits and pieces of it. Yes, but matter of fact, after talking with you, I'm gonna go and find it and watch the whole movie.
Could I tell you something? It's one of the greats of the greats. Okay. There's not a moment in that film that isn't perfection. When I saw that film, when I was walking out of the theater, I was about 14 or 15, maybe 16, and I said, I'm never going to make a comedy again because I could never touch what that guy did. And of course, when I got to G.L.O.W, you know, I was doing a different kind of comedy.
Well, how did
it worked?
How did the concept? How did you come up with the concept of G.L.O.W? What was your goal?
Well, nobody had ever done it before. Well,
were you a wrestling fan?
No, not at all.
Okay.
I hate wrestling. I'm not crazy about it now. But my partner owned the Riviera Hotel in Las Vegas.
Uh-huh.
I had been in Europe making a couple of films, and I was divorced at the time. I lived at the Riviera Hotel.
Oh, okay.
And I had a beautiful suite. For years I lived there, and they always took my messages every whatever. And so now I was ready to like change my whole life and go to whatever direction I could go. But I got to two films, Hundra and Yellow Hair in Spain, that went huge at the festival. In the Cannes Festival, each one sold 54 markets. It was incredible.
Wow.
Okay? So now, what happens, I'm really into a position in my life where I say, you know what, I'm going to do this. I come home, and Rickless, my partner, says, who's Pia Zadora's husband, I did Butterfly with him. He says, Matt, I just took over I bought all the investors out on, he was a very wealthy guy. He said, I bought all the investors out, and I want to get a show coming from the Riviera on, now this was the guy who owned 36 of the biggest companies that were on the New York Stock Exchange.
Wow.
And he always used television and advertising as his secret. He was an Israeli, very good guy. So he said, I got this show. This guy came to me with the idea of doing a wrestling show. It's called G.L.O.W. And he thinks it could become really as big as the WWE. So I said, listen, Rick, I don't think I really am suited to do a wrestling show. He said, well, I'm not going to give this guy $500,000 to make the first season. I don't know them. I don't know anything. If you don't do it, I got to pass it. And he made me feel so guilty. I mean, here I am. I'm living at the hotel, phone calls, food in the restaurants, whatever I wanted. Okay? So I said, okay, I'll do the pilot. Now, McLean, who was the guy that originally originated the idea of women's wrestling, he had a dream. His dream was that this women's wrestling is going to be as big as the WWE.
Mm-hmm.
And inside, as much as I liked him, and he was very, I mean, I knew it couldn't be, because women are never going to be as good as men at wrestling, no matter what. It's just a physical thing. They could do good wrestling, wonderful wrestling, but limited. Okay? Limited to their own physical self. And so he had these girls in training, and we came to do the pilot. And every night I'm shooting footage. I am going into the editing room in the basement of the Riviera, and I'm watching, and there was a girl, here was this giant girl. Every time I tell this woman, not Mountain Fiji, but the other woman.
Matilda the Hun?
Matilda the Hun is fighting this girl who is this cute little, whatever girl. And she runs into Matilda, who is up against the corner of the ring, facing her. And she runs with her head down, and she hits Matilda right in the midsection. And that's what starts her almost winning the match. Well, I'm playing with it on the editing. And all of a sudden, I notice when I slow it down, when she hits her, it goes boing. There's this incredible visual reaction. Like a spring. And I call the editor over. I said, come here, look at this. Watch this girl. She's going to hit her. I said, but you've seen the full footage. Now just watch what happens when you do this to it. The girl hits him. She bounces. He falls on the floor laughing. Because it's hysterical.
Oh, no.
And I said, whoa, wait a minute. I think we have a key here. And before you know it, I'm creating characters that can do sketches, comedy. Of course, I've got girls who've never done comedy. They've never wrestled. I mean, maybe two of them who they were been in training. But I figured, wait a minute. I could teach them to have comic timing. I could teach them to do these sketches. And we're going to create characters. They're never going to be actors playing these parts. The audience is only going to know them as their characters.
Right.
And they're going to be the bad guys and the good guys. They're each going to have a woman who runs them. I said, and what's going to happen, we're going to create this whole model. Well, nobody understood what the hell I was talking about, but I sure did. So I started leading the pilot toward that end.
Okay.
I had girls popping in to a scene and say something. I had them doing raps. Nobody ever did raps on TV except the Chicago Bears.
Right.
Chicago Bears were doing raps, but not on a regular TV, or certainly not while they were doing their ball games.
It's iconic.
Exactly. So I said, you know what? I can't take the time. The show's got to move like a shot out of hell. I said, I can't take the time to stop and explain who Mountain Fiji is. I can't stop and explain who the bad girls are, their characters. I said, so you know what? We're going to entertain the audience with great raps. And in the raps, they're going to tell you who they are. So that you're moving the show along, you're getting the thing going, and they are now absorbing who each of these characters are. You know? And so when the Arab girl came in finally and said, I took the plane to America and kept it. You know, the whole thing became exactly the way it I mean, it just fell in. And the girls, God bless them all, they hated me. I was a tyrant on discipline, you know.
Uh-huh.
But the thing that was incredible was that they took to it. These girls who'd never been on the stage, they took to it. And I said, you know why? Because if they could sing something, it'll come easier for them than if they have to say it all the time in a sketch. So their raps became songs. And songs is something they were doing all their lives. So I had one of my writers, we're sitting and we're writing stuff for them, you know? And now I had the girl who was I said, and we're going to use every kind of idea. We know that the East Coast, they all talk about how dumb the West Coast is.
Uh-huh.
And the education system. So we've got a girl who's the Malibu girl, and she comes on and she's got a graduation hat on her head, and the little thing is hanging from the side, and I shoot her very, very tight, so it's only face on the screen, and she says, "Doot doot doot doot." If a person from New Jersey is called a Jerseyite, then a person from Paris must be a parasite. And what she's doing, she's attacking the irregularities of the English language.
Yep.
You follow me?
I sure do.
So this is what these seeds are, what it all grew up from. And I gotta tell you something. It never could have happened without those girls. They are the heroes of that show, because they picked up on this, and before you know it, they started playing the hell out of it. You know, they understood, they grasped. Now, they didn't like the 10 o'clock curfews at the hotel on Friday nights when they had to perform on Saturdays, but I made sure that somehow they got into their rooms by 10 o'clock going to bed. But the point is, and they got angry, you know? So, and then I said another thing. He said, there will be no male dominance. Okay? This is not three girls who take their orders from some man on a thing. No. These are girls who give orders, and they don't take orders. They were the first emancipated women in American television. And I'll tell you something else that was really incredible. The ratings, you know, the ratings company for television, they said and we never asked them to do this. They said, okay, the average viewer of the G.L.O.W show was a 14-year-old teenager. And that gives you the whole basis. They became so self-reliant, these girls. And if they had any hang-ups, we made sure we broke them. They just were, and that's what brought everything. And before you know it, and of course, McLean was very unhappy because he said we're making fun of wrestling. He said, and he tried to get me fired. He went to Rickler with the distributor of the show and told him, he went to Rickler and said, you don't understand. The wrestling crowd's going to laugh at us. We're going to be the biggest jerks on television. So the show opens in September in 3 stations. By January, we had 120 stations.
Wow. That was a rapid growth.
Yeah, the show just blew up. And it made the whole thing happen, you know, because we took that seed and made it go. The girls contributed, the writers contributed, I contributed, McLean contributed. McLean, and why did I love McLean? If you look at McLean, he looks like he belongs on top of a wedding cake. With that tuxedo on, with the clean shave and the whole thing. But he wanted to be the boss, and of course, when it came to the girls in the ring, nobody listened to him. Nobody, you know, he just couldn't handle that. But he was terrific in his role. No. He was the best moderator I ever had.
Out of all the women that you worked with on G.L.O.W, who was the most rebellious or the most hard to work with?
They were all hard to work with.
Oh, yeah.
After they got the message of what I wanted from them, after that, anything I said, they weighed the value up.
Yeah.
So I knew I had to be right. I mean, when I told this one girl, one of the Southern girls, that she had to jump through a burning fire loop, at me like I was crazy, but she did it.
Wow.
When I told one of the girls, you gotta have an electric saw,
Uh-huh.
you know,
The chainsaw?
and use the saw. What's that? Say again?
Chainsaw?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I told chainsaw, you gotta have, you know, run to the store and buy a sword. It just turned into whatever. Now the whole point is you have to have somebody that the audience can hang their hat on.
Yes.
So I said, the number one girl. Who's going to be the number one girl? Well, I announced that it was going to be Mountain Fiji.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Every girl in the room almost fell on the floor.
Really?
They couldn't believe that I chose her. I chose her because she was getting thousands of fan mail. She was the one character that the audience could lean on. You have to have somebody they could lean on for some kind of tip, because there's so much madness going on around them. There has to be one who's solid. Mountain Fiji never hit the mat. Nobody could ever take her down.
Uh-huh.
And they tried 3 and 4 at a time. I had one sketch that was called the Gestapo sketch.
Uh-huh.
And we had some of the girls dressed in Nazi uniforms. And then we had some of the girls who were, Americana was leading Fiji and whatnot, and that was the battle. Americana against it. And of course, my supposed boss, who never saw the show in the first year. He never saw the show, never bothered to look at it.
No, wow.
Okay? And finally, the first time he came to sit in and watch the show in front of a live audience, what do you think? I had the Gestapo at, and he looked at me like, "Man, are you out of your mind?" I had a black girl in the middle of the ring where they were hitting her with watermelons.
Oh, wow.
And she ended up breaking them up. I mean, literally breaking up those bad guys. And so I'm sure we did things that would not
right.
really sit today.
Do you remember? I remember sitting with my grandparents, and I remember the very first episode. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was Susie Spirit when she went to do a sunset flip and her arm got caught under someone's leg and it pulled her elbow out of socket. Do you remember that?
Well, of course I remember. It was one of the most terrible things that ever happened. As a matter of fact, if I had to say what was the most terrible thing, that was it. But she was she was such a trooper. Man, she let us go into the doctors with cameras when she was getting her treatment. Over the next 3 months, we followed her progress as she was healing. It was really incredible. She's a specialty, that one. She's beautiful, and I was madly in love with her. And when I saw what happened to her elbow, I was like, oh my God. But she didn't make anybody feel guilty. She didn't accuse the girl of making a mistake, who the girl actually did. And I have to tell you, she was something special, really special.
Nice. Now, recently, the passing of Jackie Stallone. Do you have any memories of her, and how was she to work with? Any good stories?
She She was dynamite. She was fabulous. Absolutely fabulous. She was the most giving person. She was so happy to be there. I did another show for her later. I shot the pilot, and then she never followed through on it. It was a good pilot. Had nothing to do with G.L.O.W.
What was it about?
It was called Stallone's Knockouts.
Oh.
And it was about boxing.
Oh, okay.
And I told her, I said, I have to tell you, you're not going to have the same success with
G.L.O.W.
that G.L.O.W. has, because boxing, when a girl gets punched in the nose, I said, it's not the same thing. That's the fun of the wrestling.
Right.
And, and I directed the pilot. It was a good pilot. A lot of good action, good characters. But she, she was really special. And then, of course, her other son,
Frank,
fell madly Frank fell madly in love with Hollywood.
Oh, okay.
And he kept calling me every day to fix him up with Hollywood. And then, of course, the son, Stallone's son was on the show. He came on. He kind of died tragically.
Yes, unfortunately.
Yeah, terrible, terrible thing. But in any event, so we had the whole Stallone family. But it really was. She was fantastic. I can't believe, how old was she when she died? Do you know?
What was that? I'm sorry.
How old was she when she died?
Jackie Stallone?
Yeah.
You know what? I could look it up real quick. I'm drawing a blank. See, she
had to be in her 90s.
Yeah, she was up there. I'll find out in just 1 second. She was Jackie Stallone. I can't. Let's see. She was 98 years old.
Right. Fantastic.
Wow.
Fantastic.
Long life.
But she had such a great attitude about life, about everything. She was such a great influence on her girls. They all adored her. She was very special, really special. And of course, the Bad girls had Aunt Kitty.
Yes.
Now you got to remember, I grew up with Aunt Kitty.
Oh, you did?
I mean, oh yeah, Aunt Kitty was my babysitter when I was little. She was my real aunt.
Oh, wow.
Never acted in her life. She was the hairdresser that took care of James, and she was really something, and she turned out to be terrific. And she and Jackie became great buddies. They really adored each other. They were good friends. Of course, they never showed that to the audience.
Right.
But became really good buddies. And she, of course, became kind of as famous as Jackie.
Wow. Wow.
And Kitty was really, she had some great sketches, too.
Wow. Wow. Did any of the girls ever complain about any of the sketches and thought they were too cheesy and they didn't want to do it, or were they all game and just happy to get some airtime?
Well, most of them were happy to get airtime. But, you know, when you say cheesy, nobody would ever use that expression to me, none of the girls. But I have to tell you, if you think G.L.O.W is cheesy, go watch Hee-Haw.
Yeah. Well, I love G.L.O.W. G.L.O.W, you know, as you know, I'm a professional wrestler now, but I loved G.L.O.W. I watched it in the wrestling block. Loved the women. It's funny how I'm friends with a lot of the women now from G.L.O.W. But, you know, I also like the women on Hee-Haw too. But G.L.O.W was much, much better. Way better.
Well, G.L.O.W had a zip to it, and it just worked.
Are you ready to answer some emails from our great listeners?
Of course.
Okay. I will be right back with Matt Cimber to answer emails right after Madison Olds. Three's a Crowd.
Diamonds and bubbly, vision getting fuzzy. Dripping in something, dripping in gold. You got me dripping in honey. Tied up in my cheeks, tangled in your sleeves. Dripping in sheets, dripping in feels. Yeah, I'm dripping in tears. Feeling it now, body to body. If three's a crowd, let's make it a party. Oh, 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 oh. It's too loud. 1, 2, 3, 'cause three's a crowd. Oh, 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 oh. It's too loud. 1, 2, 3, 'cause three's a crowd. Keep giving me chills. So fuck all the frills. We're sipping until we're sipping on touch, and then we're sipping on thrills. The brush of your lips, the pull of your hips. Sipping on whisk, sipping on praise, and I'm sipping on kiss. Feeling it now, body to body. If three's a crowd, let's make it a party. Oh, 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 oh. It's too loud. 1, 2, 3, 'cause three's a crowd. Oh, 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 oh. It's too loud. 1, 2, 3, 'cause three's a crowd. Stop till got oh, 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 can't hide and body to body. Oh, 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 oh. It's too loud. 1, 2, 3, 'cause three's a crowd. Oh, oh, oh. It's too loud. 1, 2, 3, 'cause three's a crowd. Dripping in something, dripping in gold. You got me dripping in honey, sipping on whisk, sipping on craze. 1, 2, 3, you got me sipping on bubbly, dripping in something, dripping in gold. You got me dripping in honey, sipping on whisk, sipping on craze. 1, 2, 3, you got my diamonds and bubbly.
Help keep this show free by buying some of our swag of apparel at butcherspit.com. We have t-shirts, hoodies, and even baby onesies. That's butcherspit.com.
You've got mail.
You got mail! Mail! You got all kinds of letters!
We are back with Matt Cimber and myself to answer some emails. Are you ready to hit these emails?
Let's hit it.
All right, here we go. The first one is from Jesus Walker, and it says, Matt Cimber, why was there only 4 seasons of G.L.O.W, and are there any current projects that you are currently working on?
Okay. Well, let me say this. When you say, why did only 4 seasons? 4 seasons was 102 shows.
Wow.
1 hour late. Netflix, they only did like 19 shows a year.
Right.
They were nowhere near what. I mean, when you think that we did musical numbers, we had singers, we did incredible things, but it took every Thursday night we had to be on the shoot up to get that show out, so it opens on the weekend. And I have to tell you, we never missed a launch date. We made every Thursday for 4 years. That show went out and was on time.
No.
And the point, at the end of that, I mean, there was nobody. There was nobody. I had to quit. I had to stop.
Why is that?
And my boss said, Rickler said, Matt, you want to make a movie with them? I said, no, I don't want to make anything more of G.L.O.W. I want to go back to movies, to regular movies that I want to make. In any event, it didn't work. And right now I'm not working on anything except giving out my films, or really having a rejuvenation ever since Tarantino said he was a fan of those films. They're all going out. People are ordering them, and I'm very happy that it's got my films have a new life.
Well, that's so. What, you just decided you were done doing G.L.O.W? Is that what happened?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there was nobody that could really. There was, well, I don't know. We never looked. I just said, "Look, guys, I'm leaving," and that's it. So I shut the show down.
Oh, okay. Okay, we got another email. This was from Susan G. And it says, Mr. Cimber, what are your thoughts on the Netflix series G.L.O.W? Also, what was your favorite project you worked on besides G.L.O.W?
Well, I always felt that the show on Netflix was really kind of silly. Why did they have to call it G.L.O.W? All they had to do was give it another name, and that was it, because it wasn't an extension of the original G.L.O.W show.
No.
It was a soap opera. The girl was screwing her girlfriend's husband, and stuff like that. The guy who was supposed to be me, every other word was motherfucker.
Right.
Or this, and I never used that kind of language. First of all, I couldn't, because we were really on regular television. There was no way we did any of that kind of stuff. So that didn't work. It just didn't work.
Okay. Now,
my favorite project, and I say this all the time. My favorite project is my next one.
Hey, that's a good answer. You should run for politician.
Right.
Okay. This one is from Jelly. Longtime listener. Love that name. I don't know if it's a real name or not, but anyways, are you involved with Hollywood? If so, how is the coronavirus affecting it?
Very badly. There's really literally no production right now. It's just not happening.
Do you think you'll ever get back to normal sooner than later, or do you think it's going to be a few years, or do you think the industry is just going to change?
Boy, I don't know if I could really predict this, but it just seems things are going to change.
Okay.
No question.
All right. This one is from Betty Sue. And she says, what is your most candid, memorable moment you had with a star you worked with, and why?
That would be Orson Welles.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Orson Welles was one of the stars of Butterfly. And he got nominated for Best Actor from the, what's the awards, Lynn?
Golden Globes.
Golden Globes. Butterfly got 3 Golden Globe nominations. And I wrote, produced, and directed the film. I really felt that, Orson and I have been friends for many years. And what happened was, we were on the set and we were working. You got to have seen Butterfly to understand that he plays a judge and he's sitting up on the judge's chair and they're accusing Pia Zadora and who's the actor? Stacy Keach is the father, and they're being accused of illicit sexual activity.
Uh-huh.
And he's really a tough old bird. So I put the cameras on him and shot all his material first. Then I turned the cameras around and had to shoot the stuff on the other 2 in the scene. And what happened was he never used to do his off-camera lines. He said, I'm going to sit here, I'll do my lines.
Uh-huh.
And then he watched me direct the 2 of them. And on a break, he said, I have to talk to you. I have to talk to you right away. It's very important.
Uh-huh.
So we go to his dressing room. I said, what is it, Orson? He said, you've ruined me. You've ruined my career. I said, what are you talking about? He said, my God. He said, I played it so big and you're playing them soft and I'll never fit in. I'll sound too outrageous. I said, Orson, she is the violin. Stacy is the piano. And you are the oboe. He said, I've never been an oboe in my life. And I said, Orson, you're the biggest, most outlandish character ever to hit American films. And he looked at me and he said, well, look, okay, I'll take your word for it. He said, but he said, you got to promise me you'll take this set to my basement, just my part that I sit in, and redo some of the scenes if they look too big. That was it.
Wow.
Of course, I never did it.
Oh, wow. Okay, we got one last email here, and this was from Richard Williams. Mr. Cimber, do you have any wacky, funny stories with any of the ladies that you would... Okay, I'm sorry. Do you have any wacky, funny stories with any of the ladies that you would like to share when you were doing G.L.O.W?
Well, my favorite girl was Mountain Fusey. Now, my other favorite girl was MTV. I adore MTV. Till this day, I adore her. MTV is she's the most daredevil girl you ever met. We had a rehearsal on Friday after we had to run through the matches to see where I was going to put the cameras. And all of a sudden, she has a move where Mountain Fiji picks up MTV over her head and slams her on the mat. And I said, that's a great move. Just be careful about how hard you slam her down. Now comes the day of the show. I'm in the control room calling the shots. And all of a sudden, Mountain Fiji picks up MTV, puts her over her head, and flings her.
You know, I remember that. I remember that. That was on TV, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I remember that shot.
If I tell you, I almost fell down because she threw her right into a pack of people.
Fans?
Up first. And how she threw her was not throw her straight out of the ring, but she threw her in an arch. So she was flying through the air.
So were these regular fans? Were they regular fans or were they plants?
No, they were regular fans.
Oh, no.
And they had never been rehearsed, never told it was going to happen. And here comes MTV flying, screaming. It was by far one of the most dangerous moves ever done on G.L.O.W.
Wow.
Because if one of those people lifted their hand and one of their fingers went into MTV's eye, that would have been it.
Yeah. Wow. Well, luckily no one got hurt, especially in the crowd, because you know how Sioux people they are. Sioux happy they are.
No. A couple of guys in the crowd, 2 or 3 of them, all caught her.
Oh, wow.
Don't ask me how they got away with it, but that's it. But they were shocked as could be. They never believed it could actually happen, but it did.
Made for great TV.
Yeah, it really did. It was really kind of incredible.
Well, do you have any other stories you'd like to share to the great listeners before we go? I would love to have you come back on anytime you want. Do you have any social media links, or if anyone want to get a hold of you and get your great films? I mean, the platforms you
Well, you have my phone number. That's my personal number.
Okay.
Call me anytime. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And we'll work it out. You're a terrific guy.
Thank you.
You run a terrific show.
Thank you. That means a lot coming from you.
Well, and I have to tell you, Patricia is a very knowledgeable person. She's very bright, and she really knows what she's doing. She highly recommended you, and she really knew what she was talking about.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I love her to death, and she talked highly about you, and I was so excited when she said that she was going to hook us up, you know. Thank you, and thank you, Patricia.
And thank you so much. This has been fun.
Thank you.
Anytime you need me for anything, let me know.
Thank you. Do you have any social media links or anything that you want to share?
What's the social media link?
You know, like a website or anywhere they could get a hold of your films, or I could just put them up on my site and get the information from you later, and we could do that.
Yeah, whatever people want. You mean, how do people get in touch with me?
Correct. Do you have a website? Or they could look you up on Facebook, Matt Cimber.
Actually, yeah, but I never look up with Facebook. But in any event, yes, they could look me up on Facebook.
Okay.
Right, Lynn? My co-girl, my co-operator is sitting here. If it wasn't for her, believe me, I would be totally lost. She is everything that whatever, you know. Say hello, Lynn.
Hey, hi.
Hello. Thanks for being by his side, and we might have to get you on and do a whole show about you soon.
Oh, that would be fun.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
She's got a hell of a life at CBS. I gotta tell you.
Oh, I'm sure she got a lot of stories too.
Yeah, I don't know if she's allowed to tell. But in any event.
All right. Well, thank you so much. It was an honor, and I'm looking forward to talk to you again, and maybe hopefully sometime pick your brain.
Believe me, it was my pleasure.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
You can follow me on Twitter. All show links on lyricalspit.com. # Save Our Children. And Epstein didn't kill himself. This is Eli Dan, Treading Water.
I'm scared that it's coming to an end. In my head, was it all just pretend? Is it good, is it pure? That I'm still unsure. Am I needing something else? I guess only time can tell. How much can you keep on trying when you keep on trying? There's a knock on every door, but nothing's opening. This is hopeless. You can't keep your head up. It's getting harder. You're just treading water. You can't keep your head up. It's getting hard. It's getting hard. You're just treading water. You're just treading water. Sometimes it's too hard to let it go. These blurred lines torment my soul. Looking back through my mind, scared what I might find. My heart is breaking. Oh, how could you not know? How much can you keep on trying when you keep on trying? There's a knock on every door, but nothing's opening. And this is hopeless. And you can't keep your head up. It's getting harder. You're just treading water. You can't keep your head up. It's getting hard. It's getting hard. Just treading water. Just treading water. Some things are hard to forgive. The greater the love, the greater the love. Some things are hard to forgive. The greater the love, the greater the love. Some things are hard to forgive. The greater the love, the greater the love. Some things are hard to forgive. The greater the love, the greater the love. You can't keep your head up. And you can't keep your head up. It's getting hard. I know it's hard. Just treading water. Keep your head up. You can't keep your head up.
Help keep this show free by buying some of our swag of apparel at butcherspit.com. We have t-shirts, hoodies, and even baby onesies. That's butcherspit.com.